Welcome to Mongo Spaces this Thursday evening. We want to have a sober conversation at least around insurance, AAR, and what they do in this space. We're going to have a 1 hour with the AAR Insurance CEO, and then he's going to explain to us a bit about his journey about insurance and also about some of the products that they offer. So if you have any questions, DM us, request to speak, and also just below a pinned tweet, you can write a few questions there. Without much further ado, I would want to introduce our speaker for today. Justin, maybe you can say hello and then you can tell us a bit about yourself. Any personal details that you want to share before we check into your story.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm glad to be here today. Thank you for the opportunity. My name is Justin Kosgei, as you highlighted. I'm currently the CEO for AAR Insurance, both Kenya and Uganda. I'm in the East African insurance business for AAR. I've spent my entire career in the insurance industry for the last 15 years. So this is what I live, breathe, and do. And before I joined AAR, I worked in a couple of insurance companies, mainly the top insurance companies in Kenya. And also outside of Kenya, that is South Africa, Rwanda, and generally East Africa. So before I joined AAR, I was a director at AAR Insurance, which is equally another large insurance company. And then before that, I worked in other insurance companies like All Mutual. I was a regional technical manager for East Africa and also a country head of operations in Rwanda. So I've become highly specialized in insurance, and I'm always glad to share insights and knowledge about insurance. We've done a couple of solutions that I've been very involved in, from low-cost products in the various insurance companies I've worked in, and including solutions that have not been done before, like SMEs, as I worked in the different management capacities, which I've had for the last 10 years. Out of the 15 years, I've had more than 10 years in senior management. And that has enabled me to have a front row view of what solutions clients want, leading research, and also being an actuarial person. I've worked a lot in actuarial in the first few years of my career. So then it meant that over time, I've really done a lot of solutions that have totally shifted and changed the insurance industry. There are a lot of solutions that I've seen happening in different companies, and I'm happy that most of the time they've either originated from where I worked or what I did. And it's glad to know that here in AR, we continue with the same trend. We're creating solutions that are innovative and strategically thinking through them to ensure that they reach as many Kenyans as possible. My experiences in South Africa as an actuary, in Rwanda as a business leader, in Kenya in several companies. So I believe that at AR now, for the last about 1.5 years that I've been here, we've launched a lot of solutions. We've expanded our partnerships, and we've ensured that clients get the best services and best insurance solutions that they can. AAR Insurance, the flagship solutions that we have is basically health insurance, and health is very important for people, and especially for our citizens. Lack of health insurance sometimes can really deteriorate the economic conditions of families whenever there's an illness that comes in, and keep innovating to ensure that we have that. So that's me in terms of how I've come into AR over time, having spent a lot of my career in different management capacities, and then finally happy to be here in the last 1.5 years, ensuring that then I can impact more people in Kenya, but also across East Africa. Thank you.
Thank you, Justin. First, maybe you can tell us a bit about your journey that led you to AAR. I mean, you've given us in brief, but a bit more detail in terms of why you're always interested in insurance field and what attracted you to the field, and also what attracted you to AAR Insurance in the end now.
Yeah, at the beginning, I think from the university days, I did actuarial science. I think definitely that selection for me was important. I'm highly analytical, mathematical, strategic, and I'm also very creative and innovative. So having had my first stint and career entering into the insurance industry, I quickly realized this is where my personality, my skill set matched very well with the industry. I think from early on, from day one that I joined the insurance industry, I quickly found that I was passionate about it. This is what I love. And that has helped me a lot to propel my growth, because I didn't have to look sideways or other options. So from day one, when I started as an intern, I think in the middle of the university, I started way early to work. So by the time I was graduating, I already had over 1.5 years of experience. That interest to do insurance is basically from a course and career perspective way back from junior university. And then realizing for me, while I joined the industry, that this is actually where I belong. I think what propelled me a lot from there then to do a lot of solutions is I realized that out of my analytical capabilities, being exposed early on to strategic planning and being asked to do analytics and advise businesses from early on, then I quickly realized I can develop solutions that can shape insurance companies. Then those solutions can become attractive and useful to clients because the real needs, either from insuring properties, insuring your health, and all the resources that families have and individuals have, or businesses, both big and small. Then over time, then as I worked, I found myself slowly drifting into actuarial. I became an actuarial officer, rose to become a senior actuarial officer, and then I got an opportunity to work in a company in South Africa called Mutual and Federal. Now it's part of All Mutual. which then shaped again my abilities to use actuarial skills, risk analysis skills, innovative and products, using technology also to not just develop solutions, but also distribute, do operational efficiencies. So that exposure while being an analyst or an actual executive propelled me then to get more responsibility. So I came back to Kenya, to Old Mutual Kenya, where I became a regional manager, a technical manager for health insurance for East Africa. I think then that gave me even more exposure. I got really excited about that and I excelled very well. I launched a lot of solutions and products across the 5 or so countries that we're operating in. Then grew over that time, ended up in Rwanda as a country head of business operations there, which again was very exciting because then each market or each kind of population has different needs. Working in Rwanda as a country head of operation, I joined another insurer here, local insurer called AAR Insurance. I think you must know, where then I was a director of business for some time, doubled the business within the period I was there. And that involved developing solutions that were not there before, enhancing what we're offering, bringing new partners, including international health insurance partners. So it meant that we were able to start offering insurance system can be utilized globally. These included companies like Vitality in South Africa, Holland, and things like that, which had not been done a lot in Kenya before. As I served my time there, grown the business, definitely you get noticed. And that's the time that I got approached by AAR. Then I joined AAR. That's almost 2 years now, just 1.5 years ago, 2022 December. One of the reasons why I got to accept to join AAR is it's one of the few insurance companies that is part of a wider group of companies that is related to the services that we offer. At AAR, we have, for example, we are an insurance company, but also we have a sister company that has clinics that we're able to offer services directly to our clients, which is optional. Over 30% of our customers actually prefer to utilize our healthcare clinics, which are spread out across the country, almost 40 of them. And in every major town, in most areas in Kiambu Road, we have at least a technology partners. We call them PIB. So all this is a good ecosystem for us to deliver quality services, world-class customer experience, because we have some things within. Of course, we still have other partners and other hospitals in our panel, over 1,000 of them in terms of clinic, doctors, and so forth. And that really attracted me. The other thing is the brand. I found AAR is a good brand. It's still a good brand. It's growing every day. I'm sure you've seen us launch a lot of solutions and appear a lot within the community that we operate in. So we do a lot of activities to just make sure that we are in sync with what our customers want. So that potential that AAR has, that capabilities based on history and having all this ecosystem really convinced me that this is a good place to be. And for the last 1.5 years, I'm very glad because we've grown significantly. We have done new solutions. I think you can see around. We have some of the solutions that are totally revolutionary and they're attractive to address real issues for our customers. We have such products like Shwari, which is a very simple product that you don't have to remember sub-limit and limits and things like that. You just buy your cover. You get 1 million, for example. It covers for everything that you're supposed to be treated for. You can use it for outpatient to whatever cover limit you like. If you're admitted, it's still available for that. So they just to reduce the rules. And we have seen in our industry, everybody that we talk to liking it. Our customers liking it and hundreds of customers enrolling on a monthly basis. Launching solutions like SME that we have, best SME in the market. So we see a lot of businesses enrolling and joining. And we've partnered with a lot of like-minded companies like aggregators and groups that handle SMEs and support SMEs in their businesses, community groups, and all that, just to ensure that we do things differently to increase the insurance penetration. Besides supporting the conventional clients that we had, such as corporates, businesses, and corporate employees, things like that. So that potential, I would say, that what really attracts me with the brand. I'm sure you'll agree with me. Is something that resonates well with a lot of people. The brand has been there for, actually, we're supposed to celebrate 40 years this year. So we are having our 40th anniversary in the course of the year. It's something that's happening. And the company has evolved over time. And that evolution, that ability to move really fast is also something that's quite attractive. So personally, I'm glad I've made a lot of difference in the industry, especially in introducing new solutions, new technologies, and forging new partnerships, and ensuring that we're always moving forward, ensuring that others against us, we're benchmarking against each other and moving the industry forward to ensure that customers get best services and that we enhance the penetration of insurance. So that's it. I think it's a long story, but I'd say that's how I'd like to summarize it. But over the 15 years I've been operating the insurance space, about 11 of those have been really in management and making a lot of inroads in making a difference in the space that we operate in.
All right, Justin, perhaps that will be a good segue with you giving us a bit of a background on who AAR Insurance is. I'll ask you maybe later about the various business segments, but tell us a bit about your history as a company and what you do, perhaps on a general high level, and then we start to dig into the details slowly.
Thank you. AAR Insurance started 40 years ago, as I mentioned. Actually, very interesting history for AAR. AAR then used to stand for Africa Air Rescue. So AAR was mainly involved in rescue and evacuating. Mostly then people were stuck somewhere and they have emergencies. And then it used to happen that in the history that most of those clients used to be tourists and people who have traveled into different places. And then when they get a problem, then AAR we will do the rescue, ensure that you get a good facility and you get treated and taken care of. We used to have air ambulances and also the road ambulances. And by the way, we still also have the road ambulances. They've been helping a lot, especially during this crisis. Our ambulances have been all over the place, stationed and helping save lives. So that's how it started. And then over time, the business realized that this rescuing alone is not enough. Customers are asking for more. They're asking for some sort of insurance. And that's how the company converted to an HMO. So an HMO then was health management organization, doing kind of insurance, but not as an insurer, but using your own facility. You have clinics, we take questions, and then they pay some premium, but then they used to use our own clinic only, and maybe for a few cases, referrals to other providers. So that picked up very well. The company picked up very well, operating in Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, like in the East African region. But then about 2012 there, that's almost 12 years ago, there was regulations to require that HMOs converted into insurance companies or they converted into different types of insurance operations. Then that's when AAR decided now to move from being an health management organization to being a fully fledged insurance company. And that meant now that the players in the industry that used to do medical increased by about three. There were actually one other major HMO, which was also doing similar work. So that's how AAR evolved now to become a fully fledged insurer. And then the clinics also expanded and stood on their own to just run things properly. And the journey then began expansion across East Africa to even outside East Africa to places like Zambia, Rwanda, and then the business of course started going up. And then now releasing new solutions. So all that time the company was doing health insurance only, mostly for families and small businesses and a few corporates. Then but it scaled up now to do insurance for even bigger corporates, got a license to do other types of insurance, property insurance, liability insurance, things like travel insurance, which is really a good solutions that we have. And home insurance that also you can insure your asset. The company then expanded from there. I think over time, the company was writing revenues and premiums in the ranges of 1 or 2 billions, but it's grown significantly. Now we write over 10 billions in premiums and insuring annually close to 170,000 lives in Kenya, in Uganda, and East Africa. We're talking about almost 300,000 customers that we insure and we impact on. So that's been the journey. Over time, then we've started doing digitization, bringing in partners like smart cards, MTBA, and being quite ahead in terms of adopting technology. So if you look at the company now and a few years back, right now, it has become very technologically advanced and driven. We have technologies that are integrating with all our providers. So the hospitals are very good partners for us. Their claims are handled electronically, expanded our partnerships beyond using our own in-house distributors to now working closely with top insurance brokers, firms in properties both in Kenya, across East Africa. So the business then has expanded over time. Started launching very innovative solutions, family covers, including premium solutions that enable people to access services even outside of the country. Right now, our biggest partner is Cigna. So a significant part of our business is also brought in by a partnership with Cigna, which ensures that for us, our clients can get services here in Kenya, but if they choose with that, they can have that product and get services even in the US, the UK, whatever they need to have globally. And that shows the expansion and not just expansion, but also innovation and forward thinking that we have. So that's been the evolution. Also, we helped to having a few branches in Nairobi and few towns that now we have branches in all the key towns. We have about 13 branches. We are opening one in town very soon. We've opened another one in Meru. And we expand just to ensure that we complement also the presence of partner clinics, the AR clinics, to ensure that we also present everywhere that our clients would like us to be. So it's been a journey, both growth in terms of financials and capital, being profitable, and also same time growth in our staff numbers and providing people with opportunities to come and work and grow, apply their skills, especially in the insurance space. Increased partner from providers here in Kenya in terms of hospitals to the rest of East Africa, and having a footprint in all those markets. And we continue to do that. So that's a journey that is very exciting for us. And it's something that we hope to keep pushing to enter into new markets beyond the countries that we have now, to introduce new solutions beyond what we have now, especially knowing the needs that our customers provide to us, so that we can become a one-stop shop in terms of insurance and financial services generally, from the health insurance that we do as our flagship, that's what we're known for, to providing other types of insurance services, from either treatments or savings in the future, so that then our customers find everything under one roof. And innovation and digitization remains a key pillar as we keep doing this, so that then we move ahead and ensure that we always wow and exceed the expectations of both our clients and the market that we operate in.
Thank you, Joaquin, for that. I do want to remind us that if you want to get a few questions in for Justin, because he's quite an expert in the insurance field in Kenya, just go below our pin tweet. You can write a few questions there. Unless you can DM us. I've seen a few. I'll get back to them towards the end of this conversation. Justin, I wanted maybe to get a feel from you of the insurance space in Kenya, because just before the space, we discussed something about job insurance, given that our CSs have lost jobs today. And you told me something about it's possible to actually get insurance on jobs and stuff like that. Why is insurance penetration generally in Kenya pretty low, and what can be done about this space? What are your general observations also about Kenyans and their unique relation to insurance? How do Kenyans relate to insurance, and what are your general observations about the low penetration rate of insurance in the country?
When it comes to penetration in Kenya, it's low. I'd like to say first, many people don't know how the penetration is calculated. Usually it's a percentage of total insurance premiums that we have in the industry compared to the GDP. So right now it's below 3%. That is very low compared to other countries such as South Africa, for example, where our penetration is 3%. As a contribution to the GDP for developed countries, and as in Africa, places like South Africa, they're talking about 17%. So it means we're very far off. It means that the number of people also that have insurance, if you take the number of people who have health insurance in Kenya or private insurance, it's about 2 million. Yet we have 55 million Kenyans in total. So meaning we have over 50 million Kenyans who have no insurance. And we have tried to understand properly what the issues are. And as we develop solutions, that's what we try to solve. We keep learning reasons as to why that is the case. One of the reasons, of course, is the perception of insurance. Sometimes when we do our research, we get feedback that clients find insurance as complex or not necessary. So the complexity part is what we try to demystify by developing solutions that are simple. As I mentioned, we have Shwari, which does not have, for example, limits in between that for you to know. You just know that I have a limit of 1 million and that's it. You do not need to remember other things such as chronics or what to just address that problem. And we've seen that addresses in list as hundreds of clients are taking it up. But that complexity has not been addressed completely, because there are other issues like how do you access services? Where do I buy it? So the distribution networks are also not very efficient. We have not digitized entirely the whole processes. Even when digitized, there is awareness of the level of how to utilize those platforms or the channels is a problem. And insurance generally in itself is a complex financial solution. So that complexity complicates the distribution method. There are other cultural aspects. For example, whenever we have problems when it comes to, for example, bills, we usually have in our communities, we have charges, we have WhatsApp group that usually are a fallback plan to most people. So that social fabric that is very strong also has made it hard for insurance to grow. Over time, we've seen that although it's breaking down a bit, now we've seen more and more people starting to take health insurance and plan for their future. But that factor that socially within our communities, we have very strong bonds and very strong support systems, sometimes does not encourage people to take insurance. Of course, the third one is cost. Most of our insurance solutions are costly, because when you have a smaller pool, as actuaries or as statisticians, you realize that for you to have adequate premiums to cater for expenses, you have to charge more. But if we have more penetration, it will be easier to price and create solutions that are more affordable. So that is also an issue that we have seen. But in AR, we are, despite knowing all those factors that impede the penetration, the perception also that people have that insurances don't pay claims. There are some companies for sure that sometimes they've been accused of not paying claims, or they're not paying claims on time, or they're not responsive, they're not reachable. But over time, we've seen a continuous improvement. A lot of companies are upping their game. We're seeing companies competing on how fast they're paying claims. For us, we have, because of the digitization, we're paying claims faster, there's visibility, clients are able to see and follow through to ensure that they get services. And our services, we have a big setup in terms of customer service, from call centers to clinical officers and nurses and other technical staff who are always available on call. So that means that over time, we have seen improvement. So despite the challenges, we as an industry, especially as AAR Insurance, we are trying our best to make sure that we remove the complexity by launching newer and better solutions. We're making distribution a bit easier by having partnerships and also digitizing. So if you go to our website, you find that there are some products you can purchase directly without having to talk to anyone. We're also bringing in newer solutions that are attractive. As I mentioned, something like international health insurance is good. So when you partner with that, you're able to also create solutions that people can take up and have that global feel. So these are challenges that are there that we keep addressing to ensure that then we increase the penetration of insurance. Separately, I know you mentioned what type of insurance are there for people who have been laid off. There's insurance actually for everything as long as it's a risk. So there's a risk for employment that we normally know is the risk of being declared redundant. So there's insurance for that in the industry, whereby in case you declare redundant, can pay you up to 12 months of your salary because that's unforeseen. That's something that you've not foreseen. And because it has other caveats and things like that, especially to ensure that the companies are also offering solutions that are risk-based. Those are things that if we use these kinds of forums to educate more and more people to know that insurance is a tool that is there to help you do financial planning so that in the event of any sort of catastrophe, from either losing a job or being sick or a breadwinner passing on or your business or property being burned down or a burglary event happening, all those are things that can be insured. Your phone getting lost or you sliding on a staircase and hurting yourself. There are products for all of those. Personal accident insurance that, which we also have, that in case you fall or you injure yourself, you get a compensation because it might affect your life. You might not be able to do your things the way you used to do. If you want to travel abroad, we have travel insurance that's very quick. Those relevant solutions and making them available across different challenges is one of the ways that we see increasing their penetration. Maybe one more thing I'd like to give is an example that how innovation can also improve. In the middle of last year and the beginning of this year, we have been having a product whereby people who travel are insured in matatus just in case there's an accident, and we evacuate them very, very quickly in case of an event. And we're charging about 40 shillings per trip, 20 shillings in sometimes. And we realized within a short amount of time, we're covering 500,000 clients within a few months. And that definitely is a way of also increasing the penetration because it's addressing a real need. A patient who's had an accident knows that I can be able to get to a safe place in a few minutes, 5 or so minutes, you have an ambulance and things like that. And we've seen that these innovations are what can really help to increase the level of trust and confidence and also address real problems and therefore enhance penetration. Thank you.
I think on the other side, also one of the things that impacts insurance penetration levels is definitely the fact that I think a lot of Kenyans feel like insurance companies want to find loopholes to get out of the deal that you have struck with them. How do you feel about that? Do customers also come to you and say, hey, the deal was set like this, but then there are certain provision here that maybe insurance company would insist, okay, this has to be met before we pay back or pay what was due? How are insurance companies supposed to respond to such a kind of a concern from users of insurance products?
I think that's a very valid question. It's something that I think has always been the main issue that affects the trust levels, the perception of the industry, that they're usually fine prints. They call them fine prints or details that are there in the policy that you didn't see. So what we have tried to do, we've even invested in technology to make sure that, for example, these are available. The terms and conditions nowadays are available. You get a link and you get on a web page. You can always check. Also, part of the process is quality assurance to ensure that during the time that someone is taking a policy, one of the requirements we have in the AR, for example, in compliance with treating customers fairly, this what we call TCF, in treating customers fairly, is ensuring that all the terms are explained to customers and they sign off. And we've seen that reduce the level of misunderstandings that come about. So it's actually boiling down back to the solutions that are designed. Are they designed with the intention to address real needs? Because what we've noticed is when clients complain, it means that there's a real need that the solutions don't address. And as I mentioned, for us, especially for myself, I've been involved in products for a long time. That has really shifted a lot in the industry. And those are the things that we have done and been disseminated across the industry, all the way from being part of the Association of Kenyan Insurers and also from our regulators, standardizing these terms and conditions. And when they are standardized, it's easier for people to really understand and then reduce the fakeness and the nitty-gritties that sometimes are interpreted as loopholes. I think right now, for example, we no longer get those kinds of disagreements. As I mentioned, we have products that are single, that have no terms, just conditions. Let me just give an example. If you are sick, that's covered. That's what our policy is. If you are sick, you're covered, you're treated. But we don't say that certain conditions are not covered. No, all conditions are covered, but they might have different amounts covered to it. So that reduces a lot of issues that we have. Then our sharing information and educating customers and our distributors and our partners on exactly how terms come about and the basic principles of insurance so that there are no disagreements. For instance, as I mentioned when we started, anything that is risky, as a risk, something that can happen, an event that can happen without your control, that is covered. And we make that very, things like sicknesses, something you don't foresee. An accident is something you don't foresee. But certain things that are not necessarily sicknesses, for example, in health insurance, things like plastic surgery. Sometimes some clients will come and say, I want to do some facial changes or something like that. Then we then explain that's not an event that is uncertain. That's something that you decide as an elective. So we have tried as an industry, but also more importantly, to simplify terms and conditions so well that people can really understand. And we continuously revise them. I'll give an example, for example, even when it comes to some services like going abroad for treatment. In the past, people were not being paid for to get an air ticket to go abroad or to get accommodation to go abroad. But because of that interaction as AR, we sat down last year and we said, we have to be different. When our patient has been referred abroad, it's not their fault. So we normally pay for the ticket, we pay for them an accommodation, including for one accompanying person. And those reduces a lot of issues for us. When it comes to buildings that we insure, we make it standard that we are covering it, including for riots and civic commotion, because instead of keeping it as an exclusion, then you have simplified it so that in case there are demos everywhere once in a while, and businesses sometimes get burnt down as a result of that. And I think I can end there because I think I've covered it now.
So maybe I can give you maybe one last question from me to you, and then I'll read a couple of questions from the audience. So one is that, can you tell us a bit about the products that you have? There's Shwari and also a partnership that you have with Safaricom. So maybe you can speak about those two and maybe some key products that you would want people to keep in mind as they seek for insurance out there. And then I'll switch some audience questions, which are very crucial here.
Okay, so in terms of product, the products that we have, as I mentioned, AAR Insurance is known for health insurance. That's what we have been known for many years. And we have products that are very unique in the market. I'll mention maybe 2 or 3. The first one is I mentioned is Shwari. Anybody can buy Shwari up to 100 years. It's the only product that covers everybody basically, because I think up to 100 years, that's everyone. And then there were few solutions, comprehensive panel of providers and limits that are very simple to understand. The next one is Family Suite. We have a family set of products which covers people and their families, very flexible as well. And that's one of the other solutions that we have. We see a lot of feedback on it. We keep improving it and clients like it. We also offer travel insurance. This is a travel insurance especially for people who are traveling to Kenyan countries. I know it's mandatory to have some sort of a travel. Ours is also admitted and it's part of the products that people take. It's available online, digitally, someone can buy end to end. And then, of course, we have an international health insurance that is something that also can be taken up for people who are very mobile. You travel a lot, you can be hospitalized anywhere, you can get treatment anywhere in the world. And finally, we have business insurance that covers all aspects of business, from the buildings that you have to the assets in the stock, against spot fire, burglary, floods. Now we've talked about political violence and riots. And finally, maybe just to add this home insurance where it covers your home, the contents of your home. You can choose to only cover your contents, including your phones, especially the phones because they can be lost, laptops, electronic, and also the apartment itself against earthquakes and fire. I am sure you're aware that there's been earthquakes happening around. I think there's recent one just below, not far from South Africa, and there've been tremors reported in other places. So these are the things that we have just to ensure that our clients can access products and solutions that are very relevant to their needs. Thank you.
Let's switch now to a lot of audience questions. I think you've been around the continent a bit, so let's take 2 or 3 questions. So one is from Maureen that says, how does the health sector in Kenya compare to other African countries? And then one from G who says, how has the insurance landscape evolved in Kenya over the past few years? Perhaps compare Kenya to the other African countries and how you've seen insurance change in the last couple of years in Kenya.
So compared to other African countries, I think Kenya is quite ahead, of course, except for, I think the same level with South Africa. Kenya has a robust health insurance industry, very innovative industry. We have the technologies, for example, one that are used in Kenya, that are used to identify patients and transmit insurance services across their facilities, are also the leaders in the African market. I think the technologies that we use, actually, they're from Kenya. They're used in more than 30 countries in Africa. So it means we are way ahead of most of the markets. We have also an industry that is very competitive. So products are being launched all the time with the goal of improving the offerings that customers can get. So if you take an AR, for example, the products that we have now are totally different or enhanced from the products that were there 3, 4, 5 years ago. And that cuts across the industry. I think the only difference is that in other countries, such as Rwanda, is that the government has a very robust national health insurance scheme that is used to work close together with private health insurance. And then I think in South Africa, they use something they call medical schemes, which is normally more of a fund than insurance, but it works very well. And we have some of the innovative companies there that have given us, that we have learned some of the ideas that we have and also improved. So as you're aware, there are a lot of innovations that usually come out in Kenya. And I'm sure that also for insurance, we have really a lot of steps ahead. Number two, in terms of how it's been the industry for the last few years, I think the insurance industry in Kenya has really evolved in the last 10 years. Right now, one is digitization. A lot of solutions are now available digitally, including motor insurance certificates. You no longer get printed stickers to put in your car. You get it on your phone and you can stick it on your car. You come to health insurance, it's the same thing. It's virtual cards now. We don't print cards in the industry anymore. You use your mobile phone, for example, for you have to identify yourself, and you just your biometrics can be used from there. There are many services that are now covered. 5 years ago, I can tell you, a lot of companies, the insurance services we had did not cover so many conditions, including things like lesser eye treatment. People have a lot of problems with the eyesight, and sometimes the best course of action, for example, is lesser treatment. Those are things that are now covered, including infertility that are covered, and there are solutions that provide that. We're seeing more and more coverage being provided, including, as I mentioned, even overseas treatments. Companies are even collaborating, for example, if in situations where we have clients that we can serve, we can combine as an industry. There are companies that work together to provide services. And the reach has also improved. We are covering less than 1 million a few years back. Now we are talking about almost 3 million customers. And the work is continuing, especially now that also the insurance regulator has allowed companies to start different subsidiaries that offer microinsurance so that they can reach big mass of people so that then they can access the insurance services. Those are the evolutions that I've seen. A lot of adoption of technology, a lot of efficiencies being put in place, comprehensive scope, and competition by companies to offer the best services so that then the industry can actually mature and grow.
Good responses there. There's a question here from Okata who's asking the health is, I think it's something that you mentioned previously about the cost of health insurance in Kenya is very high. So one is, what are you doing yourself to ensure that when Mwananchi gets friendly covers, especially for older senior individuals? And what are the premium brands that you have? I don't understand the premium brands bit, but I think the first question is about what are you doing to make cost of insurance cheaper? Because they always say that in Kenya, you're almost one sickness or illness removed from being the middle class from going to the lower income bracket, just because once it happens and your income almost flows towards this sickness or illness continuously. But in terms of insurance, then it needs to be cheap enough that people can afford it and be able to pay for it in advance so that when a sickness happens, they're able to be taken care of. So what are you doing here? Or at least what is happening in the insurance space to make insurance a bit cheaper for the common Mwananchi?
Thank you for that question. The price is the main key thing when it comes to insurance, as I mentioned, especially when it comes to penetration. So what we are doing as AAR, we are always researching different ways of doing it. And we try and work backwards from where can we give you services, for example, for health insurance. And we try and partner with providers that are very affordable, but also with good quality. For example, mission hospitals that we have in our panel, some of them are really supportive. And we have done a good work in developing solutions. As I mentioned, we have one called Shwari. That's for me, is a product that has been very innovative. But at the same time, having wider coverage, but very affordable. I can give you, for example, someone can buy that product for 15,000 a year, which is roughly 1,200 per month. And to ensure that the customers can actually pay in installments or slowly, we allow monthly payment. The product is approved to allow customers to pay monthly. That's very affordable because you get a coverage of from 500,000 all the way to 5 million based on paying small premium annually. And then we give a patient, a customer, a very usable panel of service providers that you can access. We make it very transparent. We show you that these are the clinics and hospitals that, for example, you can attend. And this is the product you can purchase, and this is the low cost, the budget, which you believe is affordable enough. And that's trying to design backwards to real needs of our clients or prospective clients. By doing research, we get research team to go on the ground and do all those researches. And then we build the solution and again bring it back. That specific solution, for example, Shwari, we have a lot of clients enroll almost on a daily basis, available USSD, available online, available through agents and brokers. And also our branches, which are spread out in the country. We are very aware of that, and we've tried to come up with really affordable solutions. The other option is also we work with communities. There are communities that come to us and say, we are a community, we're based in a specific area. This is what we'd like to achieve. We'd like to insure maybe our farms. We would like to insure our equipment. Also, we want to insure our health. And we're able to understand the needs and customize a solution for that. We've seen that a lot happening, especially for farmers groups, for we call the gig economy, like the riders who deliver goods and services. We have solutions for them for as low as 3,500 a year. And we've seen them take up such solutions very well. And it helps a lot because in the event that, as you've just mentioned, the event of an illness, serious illness, and we've seen a lot of that, it wipes away the resources of a family. It makes the breadwinner of the family probably incapacitated sometimes for a while. And it's good that there's an insurance that is for everyone. So we have developed solutions for everybody, from somebody who would like to buy a very cheap and affordable product, all the way to the one I mentioned for international, which you pay quite a significant amount of money, but then because you want to go abroad and other places to access services. But then again, you want to access local services, then we have a solution for that. I hope I've answered. Was there another question, or that was just one?
I think it was mainly that one about the coverage. So I think something else that maybe Kenyans don't understand very well is SHIF and its implications. I think there is a recruiter here was asking about that. Early days, how is SHIF panning out for you as an insurance industry so far? How are you preparing or planning for it? And how is it slightly different from NHIF?
Yeah, thanks, Mukaya. The SHIF is something we are still studying because remember, the government is yet to roll it out. It's been postponed. But the way we have understood it is that first, there's no conflict with health insurance, private health insurance. They can be complementary. So meaning that the way it works is, remember there was a package that was shared and the limitations of how far the cover can go. So we see that it's good, but you still have freedom to combine the two so that you can have a wider coverage, comprehensive coverage. I think for what we have seen, SHIF is made up of three components. SHIF itself is a fund, which will be run by SHA, Social Health Authority. And then the SHIF will be a fund on its own. And the way it will run is that we have primary health fund, which will take care of acute illness and minor illnesses. And you'll be required actually to go to a level 1 or 2 or 3 facility. You can't move. For the first time you're going to the hospital, you cannot go to level 4 or 5 and utilize SHIF. I think that's a good way of managing the cost and also ensuring that the facilities that we have are utilized. So if you have SHIF, will ensure that the first step is you go to that maybe county health provider, then you can be referred to the next level in case it's a complicated situation. In the event that you finish your primary healthcare fund and you have chronic illnesses, then they start emergency and critical care fund. It takes care of maybe you have an accident or you have diabetes, hypertension, or cancer. Those ones can be taken up by the next level, which is called the emergency and critical healthcare fund. And then, of course, they have the other fund, which is the facilities fund, which is supposed to remain within the hospitals, especially the government hospitals on the ground, so they can use it to improve services over time. So for us, we see that it's a good idea, but there are some areas for improvement, definitely, which various stakeholders have suggested. But it in no way has an impact on private insurance. The only thing that we have advised or we're seeing is that because deductions will be 2.75%, that may affect disposable income. So it means that clients have to really consider also ensuring that the services that are provided there are utilized, so that then you don't overutilize, so that you can combine the two. This way, then it means insurance costs will come down. The premium for private insurance will also be able to be subsidized because you're getting other services taken care of by the main cover that the government is providing. So early stages, but that is our view for now, that over time, we'll be able to package solutions to ensure that they work hand in hand, they can't compete, so that then customers can get real value for money.
There's a question here, a very crucial one from Lillian. She's asking, again, it comes back to the point where, when an insurance event happens, then you go to the insurance company and the insurance company say, hey, did you read the fine print? There was actually an exclusion here. So she's asking, what advice would you give a customer in order for them to be fully aware of the policy do's and don'ts? Or generally, what are the do's and don'ts when it comes to insurance policies?
To answer that, we always recommend that you speak to a financial advisor who is the one probably who assisted to buy the product. In the event that you don't have a financial advisor, it's actually to spend time with the insurer. They usually ensure that when you're buying a solution, before you sign off, that I've understood that you actually preempt what these things like exclusions are, and in a very summarized way, so that then in the event that something comes up, you are very well informed. Also, is to read the documents that I shared. As I mentioned, I don't know what company that is. It's unlike AAR, for example. As I mentioned, we've not had such cases, but I'd be happy if I can get some example of that shared later on. We can advise. But the most important thing is to ensure that all questions are clarified at the time of signing up, so that in case there are loopholes or there are things that you're not understanding, you can raise them at that point. We have, as I mentioned, simplified solutions, not just as they are, but also in the industry. And that simplification that we have done ensures that we have very few gray areas. It's quite comprehensive, and it addresses the concerns for customers. I would say for health insurance, for example, the biggest contentious issue there is waiting periods. For example, you're told this condition has a waiting period of 6 months or 1 year. So it's important to know what are those conditions that have restrictions for what period of time. If it's a vehicle insurance, same things. What constitutes an exclusion? For example, drunk driving. If somebody drives under the influence, or somebody is driving without a driving license, or the vehicle has a mechanical problem, those things are not covered. So you need to ask questions that what happens in the event of ABCD, but it will be too general for me to comment on what exactly could be the issue. But clarity has to be provided at the point of purchase, and it's important to look at those. Probably just highlight that those are the main areas of contention: chronic illnesses, maternity issues, sometimes traveling abroad. Those are the areas that are very common, and it's good to ask your financial advisor or the branch managers, or ask directly what are the most contentious issues I need to know, so that then when they happen, I know how to handle it. But I'd love to take that up. You can share with me one go later.
All right. There's one question here which I've reserved for the last. This Cheruto, she's asking, since you've navigated your path from actuarial studies to CEO, what are some of the pivotal experiences and lessons that have shaped your career journey? In that note, just share a few maybe words of wisdom for people who are looking to start out their career, maybe within insurance or within any other field. How do they match to become CEO? And also maybe a quick one, what does a CEO of insurance company do, by the way?
I think I'll answer from the first part, which is the career progression. I'd like to say that I didn't have a specific formula, so I just explain how I've seen it. I think what I saw early on in my career is that I was very creative. I used to like to go an extra step in what I'm doing. So I'd say, for example, the first time I started my career, I worked with banks a lot to generate business to the banks. And I decided, out of my knowledge, to automate proposal generation process. And within a short time, I was generating more quotations than all the other experienced people. So definitely that would pique the interest of the management. And I would get given more work. So the more work I was given, the more prominence and the more impact I was creating. And I didn't know that was what was going to happen, but I tried to simplify things. I tried to be more productive, and I tried to serve the customer more. And therefore, it meant that I would be moved to other departments very quickly. And I was always ready to accept to take on new responsibilities, new tasks, without necessarily being remunerated sometimes. So I'd always take the task first, and then over time, additional roles and additional responsibilities and promotions come in. I would always share that insight with my colleagues and the people that I work with, that you should be willing to be someone who adds value in the organization. It doesn't matter what qualifications you've come with, but as long as you apply that qualifications to add value, to go extra mile, to make sure that your work speaks for itself, it's out there. So that willingness for me to move from one department to the other, to take on additional responsibilities, because the management has identified that there's a skill you have. When it comes to product development, you end up being the coordinator, for example. Then you learn more. Then you move to strategy. As an example, I moved to strategy, sometimes support strategy, which went very well, means that my scope of work increased. That being amenable to do more, to be given more responsibilities, I think, in my view, is what helped me to grow into different areas, different management levels, and always running with tasks that make an impact. What does a CEO do? I don't think it's different from other business CEOs. You have to drive the vision of the company and the strategy. So it's to ensure that you have a strategy in place. Insurance companies are highly regulated, so you have strategies in place that ensure that the company remains afloat and makes a profit. The strategy is that it aligns with the vision, that our team, the staff, colleagues, everybody is aligned to that, and being available to focus on delivery of that. So there's a lot of operational issues that you have to handle on a daily basis. There's a lot of partnerships that you have to attend to on a continuous basis. There's a lot of planning that you have to factor in. There's a lot of deadlines to meet, and there's a lot of teams to mentor and coach, and just to ensure that business runs efficiently. So I believe that at the top, that wants everyone to actually follow through. And that's the job for a CEO, to ensure that the business is going to where it's supposed to go. And I know we end up working with maybe long hours. I'm always in the office before 7. I know I leave a bit late, but that's not just the measure of it, but it means you have to be leading by example and getting things done and facilitating other people to get their things done and providing the direction that is required.
I would ask if you have a few more minutes. There's so many questions here for you. Do you have a few more minutes?
Maybe we take 2 more, and we can take again another time.
All right, 2 more questions. So one is, of course, tell us a bit about IFRS 17 and the impact it had on the insurance industry as a whole. Then somebody's asking about the current economic environment in the country and how it's affecting the insurance industry. So just back from some floods which you had at the beginning of the year, I think the insurance industry is trying to navigate through. I think the current economic environment and how it's impacting business. And then finally, you can also tell us a bit now where people can find more about AAR Insurance.
So the first one is on IFRS 17. So this is a reporting standard that was started over 3 years ago, that insurance companies to adopt. I think even banking have also changed their reporting to just make sure it's standardized for IFRS 17, the thing that it wanted to achieve to create a method in which financials are reported in a format that is easy to understand, especially by external users, not just technical insurance people like us or us finance people in the insurance industry alone. So the reporting format required then that when STAT is implemented, you can actually compare the financials of an health insurance company, a life insurance company, general insurance company, and even with other sectors. You can be able to tell, and it can come down to a level where an investor can look at it and make a decision whether the company is going in the right direction or not, and also whether to purchase it or not. But as simple as I've explained, it's a very complex process that required a lot of people to work together, from actuaries, especially actuaries, actually driven a lot by actuaries. Then they have to work closely with the CFOs and of the industry, of insurance companies, get even external consultants to assist, bring tools that are used to get all the data for many years into the systems and use that data now to produce a new set of financials. We were required to publish the 2023 financials last year in that format. I'm sure you saw a lot of the insurance companies were issuing notices about that. For AR, we were lucky enough to be the first one. We did very well. Our financials were the first one to be submitted to the regulator and published on the day paper that this is how it's been done according to the IFRS 17. So it's been very costly for insurance companies. It required a lot of investment. But then I think it's very good for customers and investors. You can be able to look at your insurance financials, and they're available on the papers, on websites, for you to see when you're buying insurance that you're dealing with a company that is solid, that has the right level of resources to be able to meet its obligation. But as we are clear, of course, that we did that timely. We started doing it before we were told to do it. So we just decided that we report such. We are highly regulated as an insurance industry. We have to file our returns with our regulators every month, of course, and every quarter. And that is something that is good for the industry. Anybody, including you as a customer, partner, customer, who you can easily check and know who is doing well and who is not doing. And shareholders can see whether to inject money or not to inject. The second question is about the economic situation. As I mentioned, we're seeing a lot of evolution in terms of solutions in the industry. And I think they're trying to address budgets that customers are constrained with. We have seen a lot of our customers asking us that they want to pay, for example, their premiums, either to lower their premiums, to reduce their costs, or to pay more installments. At AR, we are flexible. We have tried to ensure that we accommodate our clients, because especially clients that have been with us for long, or even clients that have seen value in us and they want to have insurance with us. So we give them a new way to pay in certain installments. We also have partnerships with banks where they provide insurance premium financing. All the key banks, actually, top banks, are working with us in that space, and that enables customers to purchase. So we have seen the impact. But we've also seen something, that the issue of climate change is now real. I think we started the year with floods, with everything that wasn't very good. And we now advise, I think it's necessary that you have insurance for this situation, especially for businesses, homes, for your health, because now what we have seen is it also brings in issues to do with some sicknesses because of the floods. So the economy has been impacted now, and also what has been happening this month. So we have made sure that we are flexible in terms of accommodating the requests of our clients. And lastly, where do we get there? We have branches in all the towns, from Mombasa all the way to Kisumu and Kakamega there, Eldoret, Nakuru, Nyeri, Meru. So we have branches. You can walk into any of the branches, get to interact with us. We are converting our branches into kind of smart branches where we have tablets, we have coffee tables. People can come and do the insurance differently, discuss business as well. We're also available online on our website. Our website is aarinsurance.com. We're available on X at AR Insurance. On LinkedIn, we're there. On Facebook also, we're there at the same AR Insurance. And we are present in East Africa. So if you're listening from any part of East Africa, that we also have AR there, including all the clinics also across East Africa. So that's how you can reach us. But also on our website, you can get all our emails. If you'd like to write to us directly also, you can do that. Thank you.
I'll give you the chance to give us your closing thoughts, generally, and some general advice that you may want to leave us with. Closing thoughts from you.
I think I've addressed everything in the questions, but I'll just like to close by saying thanks everyone for listening to me or to us as AR Insurance. AR is a leader in health insurance in Kenya, and we are glad to have some of you as our customers, and we'll be grateful definitely to interact more. We partner a lot with the communities, especially when it comes to ESG, and especially now with climate change. So we have programs in place, and we will be glad to invite you to some of the tree planting events that we're having across the country and to make a difference. So other than that, I would say thank you and look forward to interacting more again in another session.
All right. Thank you so much, Justin, for joining us. And thank you for AAR Insurance for being part of this conversation. One more thing, actually. I just remembered. Are you thinking of listing? Because we need more really good companies at the LSE.
So those are shareholder questions. I'll tell you that shareholders are very happy to list. And it's one of the things that I know we hope to do in the future.
Thank you so much, all of you, for joining us this evening on Mongo Spaces. Check out our timeline. We'll keep giving you information on business and topical issues around East Africa. We'll definitely be updating you on that and more. Really nice of you, Justin, once again, for taking the time to join us and have this really wonderful conversation.